heard a stranger whispering in my house, the kind of whisper that crawls along the walls and chooses your name like a secret it shouldn't know. It was nearly midnight. My tea was still warm, and the voice said, "May, she told me you wouldn't find me." May, my name, not Mom, not Auntie. May. My heart stumbled once, then started running. I stood quietly in the hallway, one hand clutching the railing, the other trembling against my nightgown. The voice drifted up from the basement, the spot I never go after dark, the spot that belongs to things hidden and mistakes buried. The whisper came again, soft, confident, alive. "I owe you the truth, but she owes me everything." She, only one she, lived here. My daughter. My baby girl who still slept with the hallway light on, who said goodnight like a prayer, who promised me no secrets ever. My knees locked. My breath dug into my throat. I stepped closer to the basement door. The whisper grew warmer, like someone's mouth hovered close to the crack. Then, footsteps behind me. I turned. My daughter stood there, eyes wide, face pale, voice shaking. "Mom, please don't go down there." That was the moment I realized this wasn't a break-in, this wasn't fear, this was betrayal living under my roof. And when I pushed open that door, I didn't know if a stranger waited or a ghost from my past. Stay till the end, you'll see why. Emily's hand clutched the hem of her sweatshirt, knuckles white like fear had drained every drop of color from them. My daughter, my only child, suddenly looked like a stranger wearing my baby's face. "Emily," I whispered, breath thin. "Who is down there?" Her lips trembled but didn't part. She just shook her head slowly, like speaking the truth might make the monster real. Footsteps again. Below us. Heavy. Unashamed. My fingers curled around the basement doorknob. Cold metal. Colder intentions. "Mom, please," Emily pleaded, stepping forward, blocking my body with her small frame. She wasn't trying to protect me from danger. She was protecting him. I let the silence breathe, just long enough to feel the betrayal settle into my ribs. "Move," I said, calm. Not loud. Calm is scarier than a shout. She froze. For the first time in 16 years, Emily learned what my anger sounded like without sound. I pushed the door just enough to let the darkness grin back at me. The stairwell smelled like damp wood and secrets aging badly. That voice, smooth and unsettling, floated upward again. "You kept your promise, Em. I knew she'd find me eventually." "Promise?" Emily's eyes darted to me, guilt splashing across her face like a confession she couldn't contain. "How long?" I asked. She swallowed hard. "A week." "A week. A whole 7 days with a stranger beneath our feet, eating my food, breathing my air, whispering my name. I took one step down. The stairs creaked. A warning or a welcome, I couldn't tell. My daughter grabbed my arm. "Mom, he's sick. He needed help. I couldn't just leave him outside." Sick people go to hospitals. Sick secrets go to basements. "Who is he?" My voice sharper this time. Her lower lip quivered. Tears gathered. She hated disappointing me, but she had accepted the risk. "He said you know him," she whispered. I stiffened. My heart recognized the threat before my mind did. "I don't know criminals hiding in basements," I replied. Emily looked down. "He's not a criminal. He's scared." The voice laughed softly. It wasn't fear. It was ownership. "Let her come down, Emily. May and I, we share history." The way he said my name, like a bruise being pressed, told me everything I needed to know. This wasn't a random man. This was unfinished business, and my daughter brought him home. I stepped fully into the stairwell. Emily let go, but her fear followed me like a shadow. As I descended, I noticed little details. Saka, a plate on the floor, crumbs of bread, a makeshift bed, my old blankets, a faint smell of cologne, familiar but dusty. A jacket draped over a chair, frayed sleeves, patches. The basement light flickered once, then glowed steady. He sat at my sewing table, back straight, shoulders broad, head shaved close. His hands rested calmly on the wood, but the tension in his wrists said he could break me if he wanted to. When his eyes lifted, a shock ran through me. Gray, sharp, deadly aware. Eyes I had only seen once before. Eyes that belonged to a ghost, my ex-husband's brother, Ethan Turner. Declared dead 2 years ago, buried in a closed casket. My breath shattered. I gasped. You're supposed to be... He smiled, cruel, satisfied. Dead? I know. It's the perfect excuse to come home. Emily rushed down the stairs, placing herself between us, like she knew the truth could kill. Mom, she whispered, he told me you'd react like this. My anger boiled quiet and deep. You hid a man from my past, a dangerous one. He's my uncle, she shot back. Blood deserves a chance. Blood. The most manipulative word in the dictionary. Ethan stood, slow and controlled. He towered enough to steal the air from the room. I've come for what belongs to me, he said. I stared through him with ice. And what is that? His smile widened, like the devil had finally received his invitation. Emily. My world tilted. The ground kicked me in the chest. My daughter belonged to him? Emily stepped sideways, closer to him. He understands me more than you ever did, she murmured. The betrayal was small in words, but enormous in consequence. My voice did not shake. It sharpened. That's when I started watching. Watching her lies, watching him breathe, watching death walk upstairs. His hand remained on Emily's shoulder, mine curled into a fist. He watched me notice it and pressed his thumb into her collarbone lightly, just enough to signal possession. Fracture number 6. You think this is a game? I asked, my voice low. He grinned with too many teeth. Life is a game. I just finally learned the rules. Emily stepped closer to him, her young heart confused by the attention of someone dangerous. He whispered just loud enough for me to hear. She's smarter than you give her credit for. I looked at my daughter, really looked. Messy bun, trembling jawline, hoodie sleeves pulled past nervous knuckles. A child trying to wear bravery like a coat, 2 sizes too big. Emily, I said gently, anything he told you. He told you to gain access to this house. To you. She bit her lip. So you're saying he's lying? I inhaled slowly. I'm saying he's manipulating. Ethan clapped softly. Mocking applause. Manipulation? He echoed. That's rich coming from a woman who buried her husband's truth with him. Emily's sharp inhale stabbed the air. You know nothing about his death, I said. I know enough that the coroner was paid to shut up. He shot back. Emily's eyes widened. Mom. I didn't flinch. Your father was sick. He refused treatment until it was too late. Ethan stepped forward, closing the space between us. He wasn't sick until the night he confronted you. A lie coated in poison. A lie aimed to kill trust. That's not true, Emily cried. But I couldn't tell if she was defending me or defending hope that this family wasn't built on rot. Ethan's voice dropped to a whisper. He told me you were planning to leave him and take Emily. The room froze. Don't you dare twist my love for her into your leverage, I warned. He shrugged. You call it love. The law calls it motive. Emily trembled. Stop, both of you. Her voice cracked. That crack wasn't tiny. It was earthquake deep. Her faith in me was shaking loose. Fracture number 7. Ethan used it. I found your mother back then with her bags packed, he said, ready to disappear, ready to steal everything. Emily's head whipped toward me. Mom? I closed my eyes. A memory flickered, but not the one he told. Suitcases by the door, a taxi waiting, a hospital calling, a doctor saying, hurry. I was leaving to get help for him, I said. He wouldn't let me call anyone. He was delirious. Ethan scoffed. Convenient. I stepped closer until I was inches from his breath. You weren't there, I said through clenched teeth. You abandoned him years before that night. His jaw twitched. Ah, there it was. A wound he couldn't hide. It wasn't abandonment, he hissed. It was survival. Emily stared between us, two versions of truth cutting her from both sides. I softened my voice, speaking only to her. I have never lied to you. She blinked, twice, but then her gaze shifted back to him, magnetic, naive. Uncle Ethan, why come now? She asked, his expression smoothed, back to performance. Because someone has to look after you, he said. Your mother already failed to protect one member of this family. He let the insinuation dangle like a noose. Fracture number 8. Emily took a step, right to him. My heart cracked loud inside my chest. Let me show you something, he whispered to her. No, no. I moved. Fast, I grabbed her wrist first, and Ethan's smile fell completely. You don't touch her, I warned. Or what? He challenged. Emily tried to free herself. Let go of me. The betrayal hit harder than any shove. She wasn't pulling away from him. She was pulling away from me. The ache turned into steel. Emily, I said quietly, look at me. She finally did, and her eyes were filled with a truth too young to understand. She didn't know who to believe. That moment, not loud, not dramatic, shattered me. Fracture number 9. But then, Ethan spoke again. This time, his tone wasn't manipulative. It was victorious. I already told her everything about the money. My spine locked. What money? Emily asked, her voice shaking. His grin returned. The money Elliot hid. The money your mother pretended didn't exist. The inheritance that belongs to you and me. Emily's breath caught. Mom, what is he talking about? I stepped back, a choice forming like a blade. Trust is earned, and Ethan would earn none tonight. Go upstairs, I repeated. No. Her defiance sliced the air. That was the final fracture. The family I thought I protected was now a battlefield, and 2 soldiers stood with swords drawn, me and the dead man's brother I once feared. Ethan leaned close enough that I could smell stale secrets on his breath. You kept me out of this house once, he murmured. You won't make that mistake again? My answer was ice. Watch me. That was the moment the sides were drawn, not in blood, in loyalty. That's when I started watching Emily slip, watching Ethan plot, watching the ghosts of my past crawl upstairs. The fractures were done. The war had officially begun. Mourning made the house look honest, but honesty is a costume in daylight. I kept my voice even, my movements measured, my eyes quiet. Fear makes noise. Strategy doesn't. I brewed tea the way my mother taught me, slow and precise. Kettle hum, cup warm, pour steady. Ritual is a spine when everything else shakes. Emily came in first. Hoodie, headphones, the armor of a hurt girl. She hovered by the counter, waiting for me to start a war I wouldn't give her. Toast? I asked. She nodded. Small surrender, barely there. Ethan entered like he owned the door frame. He smiled at my teapot like hospitality was his favorite joke. Sleep well? He asked. I don't sleep, I said. I think. He grinned. Always did. I buttered toast with the calm of a surgeon. The knife slid clean, no tremor, no rush. He watched the blade instead of my face. Uncle Ethan says Dad had a second life, Emily said softly. He says you hid it. I placed the toast on a plate, added honey, added patience. Your father had secrets, I said. I hid nothing. I survived them. Ethan stepped closer to Emily, shoulder brushing shoulder. Truth sounds different when you say it, May. Lies sound expensive when you wear them that well, I replied. He laughed under his breath, still sharp. Emily ate in small bites, eyes flicking between us. 2 suns. 1 sky. It will always burn the child caught between. He started in on the morning's performance. "Em," he said, "remember what I told you about Dad's account? How the deposit stopped, then started under May's control?" He turned to me like a host introducing tonight's main act. "Want to explain those dates?" I poured tea, steam curling like a secret I refused to say out loud. "Explain yours first," I said. "How a dead man's brother breathes in my kitchen." He tilted his head, faux tender. "You always did deflect." I set my cup down, let porcelain kiss wood. Soft sound, hard meaning. "Emily," I said, "your father's money wasn't a fortune. It was debt wrapped in pride. Insurance covered the funeral. The rest was rot." Ethan's mouth curved. "And what did you do with the payout? Paid doctors, paid collectors, paid for peace." I held her gaze. "I refused blood money." He stepped in, voice softer, darker. "She refused you, Em. Remember that." Emily's jaw clenched. "Stop twisting." I folded a dish towel, corners aligned, edges neat. Small symmetry in a lopsided morning. He saw the order and decided to break it. "That basement room," he said to Emily, "feels safer than up here." "Safety isn't a feeling," I said. "It's proof." He leaned back, reading me. "Then show her proof." "After breakfast," I said. "After school. After you leave my house." Emily's eyes flared. "He's staying." "Guests ask," I said. "Predators announce." Silence nailed itself to the cabinets. He reached into his jacket and placed something on the table, a key fob. Black, scratched, familiar. Emily frowned. "What is that?" "The storage unit," he said. "Your father's." He rolled it toward me with 2 fingers. "May knows which one." My stomach tightened, memory stinging like vinegar. Unit 17B, metal door, cold lock, boxes that cut like truth. Emily looked at me, betrayal warming behind her eyes again. "You never told me about a storage unit." "You were 10, I said. "You needed math, not nightmares." Ethan smiled at his student. "We'll go after school." "Alone?" I asked. "With Emily," he said. "Family business." "Then it isn't," I replied. "I'll meet you there." He liked that. It meant I would bring myself to the trap. Predators prefer home delivery. Emily wiped her fingers on a napkin, shoulders heavy with loyalty debts. "I'm going to be late," she murmured. She kissed my cheek, fast, the way you show love while planning treason. After she left, the air found its weight. Ethan lingered, eyes sweeping the kitchen like an appraiser. "Nice house," he said. "Elliot chose well." "I chose this," I said. "He chose chaos." He touched the key fob. "We both know what's inside that unit." "We both know," I agreed. "Only one of us can survive it." He smiled, slow and certain. "You always did talk like a judge." "And you always did talk like a sentence." He slid the fob into his pocket. 3 o'clock. 4, I corrected. Daylight tells better truths. He didn't argue. He didn't need to. He believed the afternoon already belonged to him. When he was gone, I washed the cup, folded the towel again, rewound the morning. Order is a weapon, too. I opened the hall closet and pulled down the old tin box. Inside, documents, birth certificates, a letter I never mailed, a photograph I never framed. Elliot, Ethan, and a third man I memorized only to forget later. I slipped the photo into my bag. Proof isn't loud. Proof whispers and lets arrogance answer. I called work, took the day. Then I called a number I swore I wouldn't. "Owen Carter," the voice said. "May Turner," I replied. "I'm ready to stop being polite." He exhaled. "You saw him." "He saw me," I said. "At 4, we opened 17B. "Don't touch anything," he warned. "Don't go alone." "I won't," I said, "but I would if I had to." I set the phone down. The tea had cooled. The house watched me breathe. I wiped the counter twice, then again until it shone like intention. At 3:40, I locked the door behind me. At 3:55, I was parked beneath a flickering light in a row of metal mouths. At 3:59, I decided what kind of woman I needed to be. The key turned at 4:03. Metal groaned. Secrets yawned. Dust rose like memory. Inside, 3 boxes waited like confessions. On top, a ledger with Elliot's handwriting, mean and familiar. And on the concrete floor, perfectly centered, sat a 4th thing I hadn't expected. A child's red backpack. Emily's from primary school. I didn't touch it. I didn't breathe. Behind me, footsteps. Ethan's shadow covered the door, and over his shoulder, another silhouette slid into view. Not Emily. Victoria Hale. "Hello, May," she said. "Let's finish what you started." I didn't turn around. I smiled instead. Distance complete, emotion cold, strategy warm. The game had finally come upstairs. Victoria Hale stepped inside like she financed the world under our feet. Black coat, sharp chin, eyes that flicker when they enjoy the pain they cause. She didn't look at Ethan first. She looked at me. Like the battle began years ago and she had just been waiting for my consent. "You knew we'd come back to claim what's ours," she crooned. "Ours?" I echoed. "Funny. Elliot never mentioned you in his last breath." She smirked. "He didn't mention a lot of important things." Ethan shut the door, steel sliding into place. Trapped inside with 2 villains and a decade of unfinished sin. He lifted his chin toward the boxes. "Open them." I didn't move. Refusal is a strategy. Victoria clicked her tongue. "Always stubborn, May. Even when your world is collapsing." "My world stands just fine," I replied. "Does it?" she hissed. "You have a daughter who trusts me more than you. A house with a ghost in the basement. And a storage unit full of evidence that could bury you alive." She gestured to the child's backpack on the floor. "Pick it up." I didn't, because fear isn't shown. Fear is weaponized. So I asked the only question that mattered. "What did you tell Emily?" Victoria's lips curled into venom. "That you're the reason Elliot died." Ethan added, "And that you're the reason she'll never know the truth unless she stands with us." Newsflash, my child had become their currency. Victoria stepped closer, heels clicking like countdowns. "You thought you could shield her forever," she said. "But children grow up, May. They crave truth. And we fed her the parts you starved." "Lies," I spat. "History," she corrected. She nudged the backpack toward me with her toe. "Open it." I crouched slowly. No rush. Control is slow. Zipper gliding. Breath tightening. Inside, a stack of envelopes, each stamped with Elliot's name, each addressed back to our house, all unopened. My heart plunged. Every envelope held a truth I never received. Every envelope held a secret they stole before it reached me. "You intercepted his mail," I whispered. Victoria nodded once. "For everyone's safety." "You mean your advantage?" Ethan laughed. "She's catching on." I stood, letter in hand. "You twisted everything," I said. "You built a story out of stolen words." Victoria's voice went soft like the start of a nightmare. "Story? No, legacy." She snapped her fingers. Ethan dragged one box forward and ripped off the lid. Elliot's handwriting everywhere. Dates, numbers, accounts, signatures. Receipts of a man who hid his crimes in bank balances. "Look closely," Ethan ordered. I did. Each slip had 2 names, Elliot Turner, May Turner. Half the money was tied to me, legally, deliberately. "My name is on this," I said. "Why?" Victoria leaned so close I could smell betrayal's perfume. "Because Elliot loved you enough," she whispered, "to make you take the fall with him." Cold truth, dead truth, heavy truth. My pulse spiked, but my voice remained ice. "You underestimate a mother who's run out of fear." Ethan circled behind me, breath touching my spine. "You think we came to threaten you?" he murmured. "We came to ask." Victoria laid out a document, fresh print, wet ink, a transfer of rights. They wanted everything Elliot left. including the power to use my name legally. You sign, Victoria said, and we disappear from your life forever. And if I don't? Ethan smiled. We make sure your daughter blames you for every drop of blood Elliot ever lost. They believed they had already won, because they thought Emily was their soldier now, but they forgot something. Love is quiet, but justice has a voice. I stepped backward just enough to feel concrete at my heels. My fingers slipped into my pocket, subtle, retrieving what I brought. The photograph. The one with 3 men. The one they feared. Victoria saw it. Her confidence cracked like thin glass. Where did you get that? She demanded. The same place I found my patients, I replied. Buried, but not dead. Ethan lunged, but I lifted the photo fast, holding power like a match near gasoline. This isn't just Elliot and Ethan, I said. This is someone bigger, someone who made you both puppets. Their silence answered everything. Victoria's voice shook. You don't know what you're playing with. No, I corrected. I finally do. Footsteps echoed outside. Heavy, intentional. The lock clicked. Ethan's head snapped around. What did you do? He snarled. The door opened. Bright light slicing through darkness. Officer Grant. 3 others behind him. Badges, purpose, law. I didn't come alone, I said. Faith in the law is foolish, but using it smartly isn't. Victoria tried to grab the papers. Officer seized her wrist. Ethan swung at Grant, but 2 agents pinned him to concrete. Their threats spilled like cheap alcohol. You have no proof. You don't know the danger. You just signed your death. But I wasn't listening. I was watching their empire fall. Grant turned to me. Miss Turner, he said, thank you for contacting us. We've been tracking these 2 for years. He nodded at the evidence. Now we can finish it. Emily suddenly rushed in behind them, out of breath, eyes wide with betrayal. Mom? She gasped. Her gaze darted between Ethan and Victoria, wrists cuffed, masks fallen. Then she looked at me, really looked, and saw the woman who stood between her and destruction. Her tears came fast. I'm so sorry, she whispered. I didn't cry. I held her, tight, like a promise. Ethan screamed against the floor. You think this ends with us? Victoria's smirk returned, bloody lip and all. You have no idea who really owns this story. Officer Grant signaled for the team to move, and as they dragged them out, I whispered to myself, I will finish it. People think danger ends when the handcuffs click. Truth is, danger only bows its head while power relocates. Ethan and Victoria being dragged away felt like justice. But justice is not a finish line. It's a door you unlock without knowing what waits on the other side. When the patrol cars pulled away from the storage lot, lights flashing like false promises, Officer Grant turned to me. You need protection, he said. This network. They aren't just criminals. They're organized. And someone much bigger than them signed these accounts. I stared at the ledger, Elliot's handwriting twisting through numbers like vines choking a tree. How much did Elliot owe? I asked. Grant scanned a page, whistled under his breath. Millions. And these aren't banks. These are the sort of people who don't file lawsuits. They dig graves. Emily tensed beside me, guilt weighing her down like a wet coat. I didn't know, she whispered. I know, I replied. And I did. She was manipulated, a child in a war wearing courage like borrowed armor. Back home, every shadow felt rehearsed. Every click of the furnace felt like a footstep. Every passing car looked like surveillance. That night, I tucked Emily into bed, something I hadn't done since she was 9. Mom, she murmured, why didn't you tell me Dad was in trouble? I smoothed her hair back, dark curls tangled like choices. Because love makes you hide the scars of the ones you care about, I said. I thought protecting you meant protecting his memory. She swallowed a hard truth. Growing up hurts more when innocence is dragged out early. Will they come back? She asked. Let them try, I whispered. Mothers aren't shields. We are weapons disguised as comfort. After midnight, the doorbell didn't ring. It buzzed, a short-coded buzz, like someone signaling familiarity. I checked the camera feed. No one. The kind of no one that means someone is exactly where they want to be. I opened the door slowly. The cold air carried a white envelope inside, my name written unnervingly neat. May Turner, not Mom, not Mrs. Turner. May. Inside, a photograph. Me holding baby Emily, hospital bracelet still on my wrist, and one sentence typed below, "You owe us 2 lives." The meaning sliced deep. Emily and me. But deeper still. Someone had access to our past. Officer Grant arrived within 20 minutes, bulletproof vest, jaw clenched. "This wasn't mailed," he said. "This was delivered." His radio crackled, urgency dripping through static. "Unit 4, Hale and Turner transport intercepted. Both missing. Ethan and Victoria, free." Grant cursed under his breath. "This is bad." No, this was expected. Snakes don't die in cages. They slip through cracks. At 3:21 a.m., the basement door creaked. Emily rushed out of her room, eyes wide, hands shaking. "He said he was sick," she whispered. "He said we had to help him." I grabbed a kitchen knife, blade sharp as clarity. "Stay behind me." We opened the basement door again, the darkness breathing like lungs. A single candle burned at the bottom step, a message shimmering in wax on the concrete. "Family always returns home." The handwriting matched the envelopes, matched the ledger, matched Elliot's signature, my dead husband's. The basement swallowed my pulse. He had been here once, recently. Emily's breath hitched. "Mom, you said Dad died at the hospital." "Yes," I said. "But did you see him?" The question stabbed. Closed casket. Hospital paperwork rushed. Coroner's report shallow. Victoria handled everything. A truth I buried roared awake. I never saw Elliot's body. I pushed Emily close to me, guiding her upstairs. "Mom," she whispered, "is Dad alive?" I didn't answer. Mothers don't speak fear aloud. We barricaded our bedroom door with the dresser. Unnecessary maybe, but fear deserves respect. Emily curled beside me, heart pounding against my ribs like a warning. "Why would Dad hide?" she asked. "To finish the job," I said. "What job?" I stared into the dark hallway outside the crack under our door. The one he started the night he died. As dawn smeared gray light across the windows, a car slowed outside, engine idling, waiting. I grabbed the curtains, pulled a sliver open. Black SUV. Tinted windows, no plates. Emily grabbed my arm. "He's watching." Not just him, them. Because in every criminal kingdom, a king hides behind pawns. Ethan and Victoria were never the architects. They were just the messengers. My phone vibrated against the counter. Unknown number. No caller ID. I answered, breathing first. Then a familiar male voice. "May, you should have taken the deal." My lungs froze. "Elliot?" His name escaped like a sin. Silence. Then a low reply, "You shouldn't have opened the unit." The line went dead. Emily's eyes widened, hopeful, fearful, wounded. "He's alive," she breathed. "No," I replied, and my voice didn't crack this time. "He's dangerous." The real enemy had just stepped out of the grave. The real betrayal had just returned home. The real storm had only begun, and I wasn't running, not anymore. Because justice is patient, and revenge has my address. My husband wasn't dead. He was resurrected by greed, and by my mistake of believing the death certificate more than his history. By mid-morning, Officer Grant brought in someone else, Detective Owen Carter, a man who looked like suspicion for breakfast. He placed a thin case file on my dining table. No small talk. He opened it like a surgeon exposing rot. "Elliot Turner," he said. "Your husband faked his death." The sentence hit like a hammer to the spine. He disappeared right after a major financial breach, money from the same accounts we found in 17B. I held the table edge, grounding myself. So this is all about money? I asked. It started as money, Carter replied. It became survival, then power. He pointed to a photo, Elliot, Victoria's, and Ethan, younger versions of the monsters currently destroying my life. They were running a laundering ring. Elliot was the strategist, cold, clever. The organization loved that. Emily stepped closer to the table, fear scraping her voice. But why fake his death? Carter slid a second photograph. Elliot in a hospital gown, IV lines, eyes hollow as regret. His body began rejecting the stress, Carter explained. He was cracking. He wanted out. They don't allow exit plans. So he staged one, I whispered. Yes, Carter said. While grieving publicly, Victoria moved funds quietly. Ethan disappeared. Everyone thought you knew. They had written a role for me without consent. Widow, accomplice, alibi. Carter tapped another page. Here's the twist, he said. His will left Emily as next in line. But you hold power of attorney. They need you to sign everything over. Emily's eyes widened. So they came after Mom because they needed her signature. Carter nodded. And you for leverage. Why didn't they take me? Emily asked, voice trembling. They tried, I said. They failed. Carter's voice shifted darker. We have reason to believe Elliot is back in the area, ready to finish what he started. What did he start? I asked. The detective leaned closer. He started building a criminal dynasty with his daughter as the heir. Emily's breath caught. Mine turned into stone. No, Emily whispered. I'm not part of this. You were never his daughter, Carter said softly. You were his investment. I thought the truth would give me relief. Instead, it burned through my ribs. I stood slowly, letting the truth crystallize. My husband wasn't sick. He wasn't a victim, he wasn't scared, he was a planner, a mastermind who used a hospital bed like camouflage, a man who buried himself only to rise above the investigation. Ethan and Victoria weren't following Elliot. They were working for him. I looked over at Emily, my heart stitched wrong in my chest. She was shaking, the child he tried to weaponize. He doesn't get to own my daughter, I said quietly. Carter nodded. Then we're going to set a trap. We drove to the address traced from the SUV, an old estate on the city's edge, abandoned in appearance but guarded by tension. Cameras, motion sensors, a gate that knew who belonged. They thought power meant fortresses. I learned power means knowing when to knock. And knock we did. The gate buzzed open like fear, answering its name. Carter motioned me behind him. I ignored it. This was my story, too. Inside, the hall smelled like money decomposing. Red carpet, golden frames, lies curated like art. Then, a familiar laugh, the laugh that once made me feel chosen. Elliot stepped into view, alive, breathing, proud of his resurrection. May, he said with a smile that once charmed me into marriage. I knew you'd come home eventually. I stared at the man who taught me love and fear in the same decade, the man who kissed me with betrayal on his tongue. You died, I said softly. I transformed, he corrected. Death gives freedom where law restricts. Emily stepped behind me. He smiled wider. My beautiful successor, he said. Come to your place. She flinched. He noticed. You've turned her against me, he growled. No, I said. You did that yourself. His eyes darkened. That familiar twist of jealousy and rage. You always underestimated me, he said. Even now. You're nothing without the name Turner. I smiled, and he hated it. That's where you're wrong, I whispered. You needed the Turner name to breathe. I just used it to survive. Carter stepped forward. Elliot Turner, you're... Elliot waved a hand. Dismissing law like smoke, men emerged from the shadows. Guns drawn, allegiance clear. Careful, he warned. You're in my house." I didn't blink. "Your house is a tomb. I'm just here to bury the right body." His rage sharpened. "Give me the signature and I'll let you both walk away." "No." The word landed like a bullet. Emily reached for my hand, her verdict chosen. "You can't protect her forever," he threatened. "I already have," I said. He lunged forward, hand raised, violence ready, but Carter was faster, gun drawn, shouting commands. "Hands where I see them!" Men scrambled, chaos breathed. But Elliot froze, not in fear, in calculation. His eyes locked into Emily's, a silent command, a final manipulation. Then he dove for an exit door. Men scattered with him, like rats regaining sewer water. Carter cursed. "He's running!" "No," I said, gripping his shoulder. "He's retreating." There's a difference. He left us alive. Because he wasn't done. Because terror needs time to ferment into obedience. Back in our car, Emily pressed her forehead to the window. "What do we do now?" she whispered. I answered without hesitation. "We hunt." Because this wasn't husband versus wife anymore, or criminals versus the law, or even father versus daughter. This was a war. A mother protecting the only thing she ever did right. Truth unfolded like fire. And fire was all I had left to give. What Elliot didn't know. When you take everything from a mother, you create a weapon designed to win. Night came, like it owed someone a debt. Shadows stuck to the windows, refusing to peel away. Elliot wasn't finished, so neither was I. Officer Grant arranged a temporary safe house. But safety is a suggestion when the threat shares your last name. Emily sat beside me, knees pulled up, phone clutched like a lifeline. "Mom," she whispered, "do you think he ever loved us?" Love. A word Elliot used like an alibi. "Love doesn't hide in basements," I said, "and it doesn't ask children to bleed for it." Her lip trembled. I held her hand until the shaking slowed. Then my phone lit up. Blocked number. My breath didn't even flinch. I answered. Silence greeted me first. Then, "Let's finish this, May." Elliot. My pulse didn't spike. My voice didn't crack. "When?" I asked. "Now, the place where we began. Our old home. The one he made a museum of fear." Emily grabbed my arm. "Mom, no." I cupped her face. "We end this to protect our future." She nodded once, brave and broken at the same time. Grant and Carter insisted on backup, but backup is loud. Justice like ours demands quiet acts. We drove there in separate cars, strangers by law, family by target. The porch light flickered as if remembering me. Doors groaned like they were tired of secrets. Inside, Elliot stood in the living room where he once vowed forever. No guards, no gun. Just a man undone by the size of his own ambition. "You never could stay dead," I said. He chuckled, chest hollow. "Death is boring." I stepped forward. "You faked your death because you were scared, not of them, of yourself." His jaw tightened. Truth has claws. "You ruined everything," he barked. "No," I said, "I survived you." That landed, hard. "You turned Emily against me," he accused. "You used her," I corrected. He shook his head, desperation dripping. "She's meant to carry our legacy, Ais. She's meant to choose her own life." "She's mine," he roared. Emily stepped out from behind the wall. "No," she said softly. "I'm Mom's." He stilled, like the world forgot how to rotate. "You were supposed to follow me," he whispered. "Not her." Emily's voice cracked, but held steady. "You died." She stayed. Elliot's breath wavered. "You have no idea who I did this for," he muttered. "Yourself," I answered. His eyes snapped to mine, feral and wounded. "I loved you," he said. "You owned me," I replied. He lunged, not toward me, toward Emily, but a hand struck his chest mid-charge. "Carter." "Don't," Carter growled. Elliot staggered back, His plan fractured, his kingdom cracked. He reached into his jacket. Grant grabbed his wrist. A gun clattered across the floor. Elliot looked at me, fear finally surfacing like a secret gasping for air. "What are you without me?" he asked. "Alive," I said, and I meant it. Grant cuffed him, Elliot's reign finally in chains. His final words poisoned the air. "This isn't justice, this is betrayal." I stepped close, calm as a verdict. "You taught me betrayal," I whispered. "You just never thought I'd use it better." His face twisted, rage, shock, and a hint of fear. He was done. The war wasn't loud, it was surgical. Emily slid her hand into mine. We stood together as they dragged the ghost away. For the first time in years, I inhaled without borrowing air from fear. Half the story was over, half the justice was earned. Now, I had to rebuild what he tried to steal, our future. Elliot's arrest wasn't a finale, it was a broadcast. The news spread fast. Man declared dead, arrested alive for financial crimes. Photos of him in custody. Victoria raging in handcuffs. Ethan silent for the first time in his violent life. Their empire, the money-laundering ring, crumbled in public view. Carter stood by me at the courthouse steps. He crossed his arms. "They built power on silence," he said, "and silence just lost its job." Emily squeezed my hand, not hiding, not trembling, standing. Reporters shoved microphones toward me like hungry mouths. "Mrs. Turner, did you know your husband was alive? Were you involved in the crimes? How does it feel to bring them down?" I looked straight into the cameras, eyes steady, voice calm, like thunder before it drops. "I protected my daughter from a lie," I said, "and now I'm protecting her from its makers." Click, flash, truth on display. Later, in the prosecutor's office, manila folders lined the table. Elliot's accounts, coded transactions, assets under false names. The investigator pushed a black folder toward me. "All accounts formerly tied to you have been cleared," she said. "You were a target, not an accomplice." Emily exhaled like a weight unbuckled from her ribs, but the investigator wasn't finished. "You are now the legal beneficiary of the cleaned funds," she continued. "Elliot signed those documents trying to trap you. Now they free you." I looked at the zeros. Money soaked in pain doesn't sparkle, it scars. Emily whispered, "Mom, we can finally breathe." Not greed, not glory, relief. Elliot requested one final meeting. Carter warned me. Emily begged me not to go, but closure isn't optional when the wound has your last name. He sat behind a glass wall. Orange jumpsuit, wrists restrained, ego dented but breathing. "You came," he said. "To end this," I replied. He leaned forward, the predator who forgot his fangs outside. "I did everything for us," he said, "for a legacy." "A legacy built on lies isn't worth inheriting," I replied. "You think they care about you?" he scoffed. "You think Grant or Carter won't use you next? When the news moves on, you'll be alone. You always feared that most." He tried to crawl into old wounds like they still had doors. I smiled, not cruel, but finished. "You taught me loneliness," I said, "and surviving it taught me power." He slammed his fists on the table. Guards rushed forward. His voice cracked, rage ripping through the last illusion he had. "You are walking away from the only man who ever loved you." "No," I said. "I'm walking toward the only person who ever deserved me. My daughter." His knees buckled slightly. Truth is heavier than chains. I stood. "For what it's worth," I added, "I hope you find the peace you tried to steal." He didn't answer, not with words. He couldn't. I walked out with my head high and my heart finally mine. Emily ran to me in the lobby, wrapped her arms around me like she feared freedom might disappear. "I was so scared," she cried. "I'm sorry I doubted you." "It wasn't doubt," I said. "It was hope choosing the wrong person." We hugged tight, long, restoring pieces we thought were gone. Carter joined us outside. "You did good, May," he said. "No," I corrected. "We did good, Emily and I." He nodded. Respect, not pity. "What will you do now?" he asked. I looked up at the courthouse, place of justice and broken stories stitched together. "We rebuild," I said, "on honest ground." Emily's hand slid into mine, warm, steady. We walked toward the car. Behind us, cameras flashed. The world watched a woman who refused to stay buried. Ahead of us, a road opened. Justice isn't loud. It's earned in quiet steps. And step by step. We finally returned to living. Our home was no longer a battleground. It breathed differently now. Windows open, curtains dancing, laughter finding its way back in through unlocked doors. Emily and I stood in the backyard where the world looked gently honest. She planted wildflowers along the fence. "Flowers grow anywhere," she told me, "even where hurt used to live." Her words stitched a new kind of strength into the day. Every morning I brewed tea, not to calm fear, but to celebrate the silence. Silence with no footsteps in the basement, no whispers calling my name, no lies hiding in locked storage units. I set the old photograph, the one with Elliot, Ethan, and the third man, into a small metal tin, the same box that once held secrets too sharp to touch. Emily watched. "You're keeping it?" she asked. "Yes," I said, "not to remember the pain, but to remember how far we walked out of it." She smiled, the kind of smile made from survival, not innocence. We moved into a new home a few weeks later, smaller, brighter, filled with sunlight that didn't look borrowed. We bought a secondhand porch swing, and every evening we sat together under the slow gold of dusk. One night, Emily rested her head on my shoulder. "Mom?" "Yes, baby." "I thought I lost you." "No," I whispered, squeezing her hand. "You helped me find the woman I forgot to be." The fear had left our bones, replaced by something quieter and stronger. Peace that didn't ask permission. I lit a candle on the porch rail, the same candle once left burning in the basement by a monster pretending to be family. Only now, its flame didn't warn. It warmed. Emily watched the tiny fire glow against the night. "We're okay," she said. "Yes," I replied. "We're finally okay." And for the first time in years, I believed that more than anything else. Justice didn't roar. It settled gently around us like a home we built ourselves. 1 year later, the world didn't change its colors. We did. Emily walked across a graduation stage today. Cap shining, smile wide, future unclipped. She spotted me in the crowd, waved with the same hand that once trembled in fear, now raised in victory. Later that evening, we sat on our porch swing under the quiet starlight. She leaned into me, not as a scared child, but as a girl who learned survival before adulthood. "Do you ever think about him?" she asked. I looked up at the sky, at stars that witnessed everything but judged nothing. "I remember what he tried to make us," I said, "and I celebrate who we chose to be instead." She nodded, breathing in the peace we earned like oxygen. "I'm glad we left that life behind," she whispered. I smiled, warm, still healing, but whole. "Sometimes being left behind," I said softly, "is the fastest way to get ahead." Emily smiled back. Same strength, new freedom. The porch swing creaked in its gentle rhythm. The candle flickered a small blessing into the night. There were no shadows watching us anymore, no basement whispers, no ghosts banging on the door, just a mother and daughter alive and unbroken. And that is the kind of ending you build with your own hands. Have you ever trusted the wrong person? Share your story below. Your voice might help someone heal too. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more powerful stories. And tell me in the comments where in the world you are listening from. I love to know how far these stories travel.